I will say I am disappointed because we're halfway through
Yeah.
and we've only got 4 more episodes, and then I gotta wait another fucking year for this show
Yeah.
to start up again.
Yep.
God damn it!
Don't tell me my business. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Let's just do this
We're
for the
just gonna
first five
we're gonna
minutes.
touch ourselves for 5 minutes. The first part of this podcast was utter silence. That's a good podcast right there.
I hope this.
Oh
I'm
man.
I'm gonna just leave all this in.
Oh God. We posting this to YouTube? We should.
We should. I'll leave all of this in for YouTube. I'll just cut it out for the audio only one.
Oh man.
All right. Boom. Episode 4. How was it? How'd you like it? How'd you feel? What did you like? What did you not
You know
like?
what I
Tell me all about it.
you know what I realized
What?
is we get 8 episodes, right?
Yeah, we're halfway through.
We're halfway through.
We're halfway through season 1. It's fucking garbage. I hate it.
Man,
Uh, I
all the
know.
fucks.
I know.
That's this the very first fucking scene
Like
was fan fucking tastic. I mean, we talked
so
about
good.
it. We talked about it, right? We knew
Yep.
Muriel was not really, you know, she was playing a political game, right?
Yeah.
He was
Right.
he was acting because her dad had decided to change his ways, you know, true to the story, right?
Right.
Decided to change his ways and not so true to the story. Then she kind of took over and he's kind of on his deathbed, whatever.
And it
Uh
does seem to be a little bit more like, yes, she was playing the political game, but she also like, I feel like she's questioning, like, I feel like she has this deep belief in the Valar, but doesn't quite know what their will is,
yeah.
right?
She
Like
doesn't know
she's
what they want.
right.
That's what it seems like they're getting at, right?
Yeah, she's and she
she
like
doesn't know
thinks
what they
she
want.
knows, but she doesn't,
Right. I'm gonna
right?
send her away, and
And then the tears of the
and
Valars
it's all gonna be
come.
good, right? It's all gonna be good. And then it fucking as soon as she like gets in the water and starts to leave, again. So we went from the very beginning to the
Yeah,
very end of the show,
right,
right?
right.
But like that very first scene was just like this is this is fucking amazing. That is
So
probably
good.
what they saw, like just fucking waves just kind of coming over these like
Yeah, an
valleys and like
earthquake
yeah,
and then just
everything's just gone. And it was a dream,
yeah.
right? So it was a dream, it was a
Well,
vision.
it
We
was a
find out
dream of a
later,
vision that she had already
right? So we
seen,
find out
right?
later that she has seen a vision because she has one of the Palantiri. She doesn't know where the other ones are, but I have a feeling our friend Elendil does.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that's a little weird, being as they all come to Middle Earth with Elendil.
Right.
So
Because he has them.
yeah, yeah.
Because, there's that throwaway line
His little line there, I thought that was pretty good.
that I thought that was hilarious.
Where he was like, "Oh, I'm just a lord, actually."
Yeah. Well, Lord, actually.
Yeah.
Uh no, but there was that line, but then the line was it the episode before where it must have been the episode before because we didn't see them until 3 where our Farazan says, that his family used to be, part of the court and whatever.
Right,
And
right.
his family is still like it's as if his title was the Duke of Edinburgh
Yeah,
or right the Prince
right,
of Wales, right? So
right.
it's like it's that kind of level of like title that he has, Elendil has. He but for where his order was in birth, he would have been a line of kings.
Right.
Or he is descended of the early line of kings. I think it's like the third king of Numenor or the second king of Numenor or something like that.
But either way, amazing visuals right out the gate,
Amazing visuals.
right? Like
Yeah,
we get a really cool, sinking of Numenor,
yeah,
like just right out the gate. Like there it is. Holy shit, Numenor is going down, and then she wakes up. There were you were right. There were no Harfoots in this
Harfoots.
episode,
There did seem
which
to
is
be
good.
a little bit more storylines, right? Because then we
Yeah,
do go to the Southlands, and so we have Arondir and we have Bronwyn,
Hmm.
that storyline and the Theo thing. And so you got a little bit, there's a little bit more, but I think that they've got a good kind of mix of, not too much. We got Cause of Doom, we got that whole scene, right?
Yeah.
We've
I'm
got
still loving, like, I am loving Durin.
I'm
Like,
loving Disa.
yeah, Disa is great.
Yeah,
I just love like Durin's his interesting like emotional volatility.
yeah,
Like he's kind of all over the place, but he has reasonings for all of it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And like and he's been, done dirty by his best friend. So, that's tough for him. But yeah, we got more into the stories that were given to us, right? And that's
yeah,
because they took one away.
yeah.
They removed the Harfoot story.
We're gonna get that next week, I have a feeling.
We will. Well, because it was in the preview for the
Yeah,
next
yeah, that's right.
one.
That's right.
Uh my favorite part was, and we don't know for absolute sure like where he comes into the elfdom, but I was right about Adar.
Being an elf.
He is
Yeah.
absolutely, and from what I like, a lot of people
Can,
are, so there are a lot of people saying like he could be this elf, he could be this elf. I don't think he is any named elf from the Silmarillion.
yeah.
I think that he is,
A wholly new character.
yeah, he is an elf, just like we've read about multiple times that we've talked about. He was a POW.
Yeah.
He was a prisoner of Morgoth who ended up turning, because the way that my favorite part of the entire show was the way that Adar, this elf, very clearly an elf, showed reverence to the life of an orc.
Yep.
And
That's what I was
in
gonna say. I was like, can we
Yeah,
talk about that for a
and
second?
in that
Because
scene, that means he knows the origin of orcs.
right.
He absolutely knows that once upon a time, these, like, the origin of orcs were twisted, mutilated elves, or simply what he might put as changed, because he himself is kind of, he's, a little bit mind wiped,
Yeah.
and but like the reverence that he shows towards this orc, even with him like stabbing it, he did that
Well,
for a reason.
not just him, but the other orcs that are there too,
Right.
right? It makes you
Right.
it makes you now go, huh?
And
They're not just they're
that's
not
the
just bad, right? I mean,
right.
everyone who's on any kind of a on any side, right? If you're on one side or if you're on the other side, and you lose somebody, you've lost someone who's close to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Someone that you either, that you fought alongside with, whatever your position is, right? And they showed that, right? We don't
Yep.
see that in the movies.
Well, and so that's actually why I I felt it a little bit more when Arondir kills that one specific orc, the one that we've seen a few times.
Uh-huh.
When he chops that orc's head off, I was like, fuck, I wanted that orc to be around for a while. Like I was invested in that
Yeah,
specific
in
orc,
that character.
right? And like it really is, and that's the other reason why. And yes, I mean, we can use the idea of like Sauron changing and Sauron being a shapeshifter and all this stuff, but one of the biggest reasons why I don't think that Adar is Sauron is the way that he treats the orcs.
Yeah.
He's not he's
Didn't you say that on your TikTok or
Yeah, like
yeah.
he's not walking through and like punching an orc to get out of the way, and like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's not that
To
type of
him
leader.
the orcs are just a means to they're a tool.
Yep.
And if your tool breaks, you just, you have a
Right.
billion other tools, right? Of the
But this
same
guy
tool.
is Adar
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
Like, whether or not he is physically, right, like he's obviously physically not their father,
No,
but
but
like,
he might be older than they
right.
are, right?
I'm still holding to the fact that I believe that he is in Noldor, just
Yeah.
from the pictures that we have gotten, and even like his hair.
Yeah.
Like, I believe that he is a Noldor because of his chainmail is the same chainmail that Galadriel and those warriors were wearing.
Yep.
And I still hold to, even though people, I don't know, for some reason have kind of fought me on this, his sword is the same sword. It's just melted and broken.
Yeah.
It's the exact same style of sword that Galadriel was using in the very like first opening scenes. It's the same style of sword that they use to do like what seems
That
to be the Oath of Feanor scene,
yeah.
right?
Which I don't think is the Oath of Feanor, but
I think it was just everybody. It was just their way of being like, we are elves and we're going to
yeah,
Middle
we're in
Earth. You
Noldor and
know?
we're
Yeah,
leaving.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole scene with like finally getting to see Benjen Stark as Adar was great. He did a phenomenal role
It
with
was
it, right?
so good.
This I think this is I don't know if this is the second episode that this guy's directed, but he directed the last one, which I thought was done
Yeah,
really
yeah,
well.
because it was Bayona for the first two, and this guy for these last two.
Yeah. Um, the whole the Theo line, the Theo story. I'm a little bit more compelled with the Theo story.
I am now too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like that he like figured out how to use the
oh
sword.
yeah. He's just like, I'm just gonna stab myself.
Yeah. And I don't remember who it was. We were on a live, or I was on a live. I think it was New Better that said this, that he believes that the uh the sword is kind of a first attempt at like the ring, like the power of the ring.
Mm,
So basically meaning like whoever has this sword becomes like kind of a captive captain of Sauron. And so it's
it's his.
kind of this initial version of the
Are
rings.
you saying it's his first? Is Nubeta saying that it's his first Horcrux? It's his first
Yes,
attempt at a Horcrux.
exactly, exactly.
It's
New
the
Better would be
Diary of
so
Tom Riddle.
new
So
better. He would be
uh
so mad if he
I
heard that. He's gonna be so
we're
upset.
gonna tag him on this episode and tell him to look at whatever minute this
He's
is.
like, "How dare you?"
He just called the sword. I'm gonna say it right now. New Better just called the sword the Diary of Tom Riddle.
Um, but yeah, I agree that that whole part, and that was something that I had commented on somebody's TikTok. They were talking about the orcs digging, and I was like, it's very obvious that they're looking for the
Yeah.
sword that
Yep.
Theo has.
And
Now
you're
why that
right.
old man had it, I don't know, because it was
So,
his initially,
well, I'm assuming he found it because
right?
or it came to him somehow, right?
Yeah,
We know that Arondir's been watching this place for 70 years, right? So we know at least for 70 years this place has been under the supervision of Arondir's people,
right. Of the
right?
Cinderin elves or
Uh,
Sylvan elves.
so this guy probably in his 70s,
Yeah,
right? So it's not his.
no, but it could be
If
like a
he's if
family
he's if
heirloom.
he's older, then maybe it is his, but let's just assume that he is, in his early 70s, so he was a child, so it's probably a family heirloom, which means that it belonged to somebody who most likely fought alongside with Morgoth, because we've already been told that, right? These
Right,
people were allied with Morgoth. That's
right,
why Arondir's there. They're supervising these people, making sure that they don't fall back into their old ways.
right. I do think it's funny that this entire episode, Halbrand is in jail.
Yeah.
We only see Halbrand in
And
jail.
he's still in jail.
Yeah, and I'll actually fight that too. Like people are like, oh, Halbrand's Sauron. No, he's not. Halbrand's not Sauron.
No, how about
Um,
no?
we said it, and I will hold to this. We said it, I think, in our first recap. We won't see Sauron.
Until we won't
Maybe the last episode.
yeah, if we see him, it's going to be the last episode of this
Yeah,
season. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't.
yeah. It will. If we see him, it'll be the last episode of this season. If we see him this season.
So, answer this, and I might have just kind of missed it, and I haven't watched it twice yet.
Okay,
They are building the furnace for
they are.
Celebrimdor already, right? So the elves and the dwarves are working together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Yep.
so while all this is going on, too, Durin's also mining for Mithril.
For
And,
Mithril,
and it
which
sounds
is
like
against the rules of his father.
right. And his dad's not for it, which explains why it's called Durin's Bane, because now that he's king, right, he's
Yeah,
going to dig everything up, and it's all going to go to hell at some point.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Spoilers.
Spoiler.
Spoilers if you haven't watched The Lord of the Rings and don't know that that thing is called Doran's Bane.
Yeah. I do love all of that. I do think it's interesting that they make it so that Mithril is like hard to mine, that it's dangerous
Yeah.
to mine, right? Not only is it like not only is it limited in its supply, but it's difficult to get.
Yeah.
That's interesting that they kind of put that into it as well. But I like it. I
Yeah.
thought it was a good plot point, and it showed we got to see kind of Disa's power with stone,
Yeah.
right?
So
Like that was
I
cool.
forget what the scene was that was leading into that, but there was like there was it was her singing, right? But you didn't know it was
Mhm.
her singing,
Right.
but it just fit so perfectly, and I was like, oh, then they showed her singing, and I was like, oh wait, that's her
Yeah.
voice, right, throughout this
Yeah.
entire thing.
And it was
Um,
so good.
yeah.
It
Uh,
really did lead in really well. And then you see and then you see the rocks moving, right? And Elrond asking, like, what was that? And she basically just tells him, like, I asked the mountain to keep them safe, basically.
yeah,
Which
and they
was like super cool.
and they are,
And
they
they all got
were,
out.
they all got out. Yeah. Also, that same scene, right? We get a little bit more of a human Elrond, I'm gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you know, he is trying to comfort his friend here, right? His friend's just pissed off because he knows his dad is not it was not about this, and he's now
Right.
closed down the mining for this, stone, this material, this new ore that they found, and mad at his dad, and then Elrond tells him, you know, my dad's a star, which I thought I was kind of chuckling inside because I was like, you're kind of like saying like, yeah, my dad's better than your dad. That's kind of what it felt like
Right.
as he's talking about it. When my dad fought Morgoth, and
Yeah.
then my mom turned into a swan, and he got made into a star, and I wish I could talk to him again. It was really moving. It showed a little bit more of that friendship that they have.
Yeah.
It is a clear difference from movie Elrond, right?
Right.
Movie Elrond is a fucking dick.
Yeah. Well, and it does make
And
me happy that they brought that into that it's not just a Passover thing. Like they are bringing the fact of, which is like the next thing that I need from this is that he talks about Elros as well.
yeah,
Right. But like him talking about El, Eärendil, his dad
yeah,
turning into a star, doing all these things, right? Like that's something that's never talked about in the movies at all, never
no,
spoken about at all, right? And so the fact that they're bringing that in, like I said, I really hope that he also brings in some emotion on the side of, oh, and my
my
brother
my
abandoned
twin
me and
brother.
decided to be a human and
Yeah,
die.
yeah. Uh, talking about we're talking about Elrond. I don't know how much time we have left. I think
We
we got
got about
like
10
we
minutes.
got 10 minutes. Um, there was also similar kind of scene, but I think the couple scenes before in this kind of story, it might have been the scene before in the story, of Elrond and Durin, Elrond trying to find out what it is that he's doing, and
Mm-hmm.
Durin not wanting to tell him until he makes him swear on the mountain, right?
Right.
Swear on the mountain that you will not tell a soul about this,
Yeah.
right? And we see in the very next episode that he's showing the stone to, I'm pretty sure to Gilgalad. So we know he's going to break this oath,
I
right?
know.
And the oath is basically, you know, if I were to break this oath, then untold sorrows come to me,
Right.
kind of thing, right? Which is what happens to Elrond,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, yeah, more or less.
more
Like
more or less, he's close with Gilgalad, he's
his
close with
marriage doesn't end well.
Celebrimbor, his marriage, his daughter,
Yeah.
right? Everything that he's known essentially is going to be taken away from him,
Hmm.
I mean, he's gonna meet his wife in Valinor at some
Right.
point, but he's gonna have to depart this world at some point.
I loved all of. I was talking with Nick about all of these. I loved all of the Easter eggs in Tar Palantir's room.
Oh, I missed those.
So there's Tor's axe is in there. They're behind Muriel when she's talking. There is a shield with two swans. A really badass looking shield. There is a sword in there that we were talking about it, and we think it might be Fingal's sword.
Okay.
Um, and then there was one other thing. There's a painting of Baron and Luthien behind in that room behind Galadriel in one of the points where it seems to be when they're like leaving Autumno,
Uh-huh.
when they're walking out because it's all dark and like a cave. And it's Luthien walking out, and Baron has the Silmaril in his hand. And
Yeah,
yeah, there was
you can't tell me like with details like that that the show runners don't care about like the
right,
show, right?
right.
I was on TikTok because my power went out earlier today.
Hmm.
And I was someone had posted something and they're like, it was the ban on the Valar, right?
Okay,
From a couple episodes ago, and I know this
right,
isn't really part of this episode, but I want to talk about it because it'll take like 2 minutes. Basically saying, it didn't it for a casual viewer, it's confusing. I'm like, well, it's not really. Like, I think Melissa was more confused about why are the orcs afraid of the sun, and then you have to
right,
explain it to
right.
her,
Yeah.
right? I don't think like her like necessarily like, it was about Gilgalad choosing who gets to go to
Mm,
Valinor, right? Kind of things. I don't think she even batted an eye at that.
right.
Like, okay,
No.
whatever. He's the
Yeah.
king, so
Right.
gets to make the choice.
Right.
Anyways, my point being that the show clearly clear, clearly with these like little details that they're like throwing in there for people to like find, and I try my best sometimes, but I get lost in the show when I watch it the first time.
Yeah.
And I try to like pay attention to what's going on in the background. What am I like not paying attention to because I'm watching them and listening to their dialogue. They're throwing things in there for people to find who are fans, right?
Right.
It's not for
Well,
the
I mean,
casual. It's not for the casual viewer. It's
I think
for
it's Adar that uses the word Orodruin. Like it talks like Mount Doom, but
yeah,
uses Orodruin.
yeah.
And like nobody cares what that means.
No,
Nobody has any idea except for people who are into it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yes, I agree. I mean, it's just constant people wanting to. I saw somebody that it made me laugh, and I was like, oh my god, that's so like just dead on. Is and it was about Marvel, or I don't even remember. It was about a different fandom, right?
Yeah.
But the person was like stitching a video, and this person was talking about how he hated this show. And this guy was like, in 2022, with all of the stuff that we have to watch, why are you watching something that you hate?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Hate
Why are you
watching. I'm gonna
watching
hate
something
watch
that
this
you
show.
hate? Like, it doesn't make any sense that you're like,
I would much rather watch something I've watched 20 times than watch
yes,
something I hate once.
absolutely.
Right? Like if I
Yep.
hated the show, you know, it would make for a very awkward conversation with you, right? By yourself.
Right.
But if I hated the show, like I wouldn't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Yeah, no, I think this episode more than any other, there were just an insane amount of nods to the lore. And whether or not we're looking at like right now, what time period they're giving us in the show, honestly, it's really hard to say, right? From a lore perspective.
Hmm.
But this episode, more than any other, I feel like really immersed us into like these people know what they're doing, because we got so many little nods, so many things, so many. I'm still not like, I still have no idea who is calling to Isildur and why.
I know. That's the yeah. I was wondering the
Like,
same thing. Like who is calling to him? He keeps talking about the West, and the only thing that I can think about, I'm like, he's not talking about Valinor. I know
no,
that. He's just talking about the west side
of the island.
Of Numenor,
That's where his
where
brother
that's where
is.
well, that's where his brother is. That's where his family is.
That's where they're from.
That's where the faithful are, right?
Right, right,
And so, but what is it that's calling to him? Who
right.
is calling to him? What's that voice? What who are we gonna find out? Are we I'm sure we're gonna find out, but
Like that is the interest. And I am, again, I'm loving that they're painting. They the one of the one of the things that's making me so mad about like the again, I don't hate where you are in this fandom. It's perfectly fine. But like, when you're just a Peter Jackson fan and you're making stuff saying that, like, oh, here, like, Isildur is so great right now, but he turns into this. He doesn't. Like, that's the problem.
yeah,
Like, Peter Jackson really did Isildur dirty. He didn't stand there in Mount Doom and say no
no,
to Elrond to
no.
throw the ring. That wasn't what
There's
happened.
nothing in the story that says that they went into the
Nope.
pits of Mount Doom,
Nope.
right? He was counseled by it was Círdan and Elrond who
Mm-hmm.
said maybe we should destroy this because we don't know anything about it.
But they weren't in the
But
mountain. They weren't even close to
no,
the mountain.
they
They
didn't
had no
know.
idea how to
They
destroy
had
it.
no idea that it was a Horcrux. Had they known it was a Horcrux, and they would have
Yeah.
asked Harry Potter
Well, and that's the
to
thing, is
destroy it.
that's the whole reason why the disaster
I'm
at the
just doing
Galad.
that to piss off
I know, but that's the exact
Willie.
reason why the disaster at the Gladden Fields happened, right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
because after a few years,
uh,
Isildur realized,
yeah,
like, I shouldn't have this. This isn't a good idea. This should not be something that I pass down to my family. I'm going to take it to Elrond.
yep,
And on the way is when he gets
yeah.
ambushed. Right? None of this was him being selfish. None of it was him like,
No,
no, I'm going to keep the codes to
we have
this
talked
nuke.
about this so many times, and
Right?
it's like it's my biggest source of frustration. And it's
Yeah,
like the movies are great, the movies are
they
fantastic, but the
are.
movies are not super accurate to what's happening, right? The
Right.
movies had to do what the movies had to do in order to make a movie,
Right.
right?
And it does. It starts out
And
with
it's the same
drama,
with this
and that's what
show.
you want.
And it's the
Right?
same with this show, right?
Right.
This show has a different format than a movie would, right?
Yes.
It has more hours to build on the story, right? So
Mm-hmm.
things are not going to be like quick paced, right?
Right.
Even a three-part movie, which we knew the Lord of the Rings was going to be, each each part has its, its build up, its climax, and then it's kind of like conclusion, right?
Right.
And then you
Right.
have again in the next one, build up, climax, conclusion.
Yeah.
And then in the final film, the ultimate conclusion, right?
Right. Right.
So, this show is going to have, it's just going to be just kind of, it's that same format for the entire season.
Yeah.
So 8 hours of that, right? And that's what we're getting.
Okay.
We're
So
getting the story building.
my wrap ups of this episode are, and I'm gonna actually have like one critique in it.
Oh, okay.
My wrap ups are, I do love the amount of lore that they're giving, and the amount of Easter eggs and all of that. My one hang up. So Numenor is beautiful. Numenor is amazing. We are getting like that little bit of Our Fares on the Golden, right? Where he's playing politics, which is really cool. And his speech, his part, I thought was great. The one thing is, like, this is the first time that I feel like I agreed with some of the idiot critics that
Mean the MAGAs?
yeah, the carpenter guy,
The guy who got
um
beat up.
yeah, the guy who got beat up, his dialogue was very clunky. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it was his dialogue or the way that he presented it, but either way, I did not like, that was very clunky.
Yeah.
That, like, our fair like Farazan, I can't call him our Farazan yet. Farazan came in and like not only did he save it for the crowd, but he saved it for the show. Like
Yeah.
his acting and his dialogue was much better. That guy really kind of took me out of it. And like, I don't want to rag on the actor. It was just like,
I will
it
say
just
that
wasn't good.
that scene was the one scene where I was like, oh, this is them like inserting, right, what's kind of going on,
Right.
kind of current events type of thing, right?
Yeah. It was just,
They're gonna take our jobs, right? Kind of
yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah.
right? The elves are not gonna take your
But
jobs.
it was
Um,
definitely just like
my
clunky,
my
poor
my
acting.
my critique, right, which I'm not crazy about, is Isili. What do they call him? Isil?
Isil,
Isil? I'm not a
you
big
don't like
fan.
that?
I'm not a big fan of the Isildur.
Isil,
No, no, I don't like it.
Isil.
I don't like the pet name. I don't That's the one thing I don't like at this point.
It's funny.
I want them to say his full name so that
Yeah,
I
just
can
say Isildur.
in my head I can see Hugo Weaving yelling at him.
Isildur,
Isildur.
cast it into the fire. Um,
No. Done
uh,
dirty. Done
yeah,
dirty.
I get that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like, and again, for the most part, all of the acting and the dialogue, I've enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
It was just that one part that I was
Yeah.
like, this is clunky and like weird and
The
bad acting. Like,
Theo bugged me for a bit. I wasn't super.
but I agree. This story, this last
This
episode,
story is
it
a
was
little bit
better.
more intriguing.
Yeah,
He is a little he's weird. His bowl haircut is
yeah.
not something I'm behind. I'm
And
also not behind Justin Medeiros'
Arondir coming in and saving the day was pretty badass. We got to see the scene where he catches the
oh,
arrow and fires it back, and
Melissa called that though. That entire like him trying to like make his way away from the orc. She's like
uh,
he's gonna get caught as soon as he turns the corner.
yeah,
And like, yep, sure enough, he got
yeah.
caught.
So yeah, I thought that was great. Anyway, I mean, all in all, do you have any other wrap ups beside your critique of Isil?
No, I thought this episode it started off really well.
Hmm.
It finished very well. I think you can kind of see um you can see Farazan plotting his next move,
Right.
right? In that same scene, right? He
Yeah.
knows that he can use this to his advantage a couple of ways, right? Which he
Yeah.
ultimately will. Is he's gonna be able to take power, and he's gonna be able to like make more of a name for himself,
Yeah.
right? In fighting
Yeah. He's playing politics.
yep,
It's what he's
playing
doing.
politics 100%. And yeah, I'm very happy with it. I'm disappointed that it's episode 4.
I know. I know.
Uh,
4 more weeks of this. That's it.
that's it.
That's garbage.
That's
That's
garbage.
bullshit. What is happening here?
Whole lot of garbage, man.
All right.
Uh, anyways, do you
Yeah.
want to do our?
Yeah. So everybody, find us on at _Swolhirrim on Instagram and on TikTok. We put out another workout this last week. We put out the Istari one, and Carlos put out. I should find a way to put that on ours. I think I could just stitch it
You
and
could just
like,
stitch it.
yeah. So anyway, Carlos put out him doing it in a scaled manner.
I didn't wasn't doing it. I was talking about doing it,
Right,
but I
right.
did do it.
Yeah. So we do have a workout out for that swole side of our Swolhirrim. We're on there. We're doing more lives, or I'm doing more lives. And
I know
it's fun.
you gotta let me know
I
so at least I
know.
can check them out.
I jump in. I jump in when like New Beta and Lee and other people are doing them. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. So catch us on TikTok. Find us on Instagram. Listen to us here. We're still going to be doing our history and our character
Character
profiles.
profiles. It's been so long.
I know.
We forgot what we do.
I know. And check us out on Instagram. We've got our link tree set up. I'm trying to get that set up on our TikTok as well. And you can find our merch. Carlos and I are both repping some of that right now. We've got some Swolhirrim, Rider of Swolhan stuff up, t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all of that fun jazz. And you can find us on YouTube and Patreon as well. But I think that's about it. We're keeping these to about that 35-ish, 30-minute-ish
Yeah.
spot. So, and it's been pretty easy for me to just throw them up. So we'll get this one up and ready so everybody can listen. You got anything else?
Bye.